Hey everybody, Black Ninja 797 here, and welcome back to another episode of Call of Duty Zombies Myth-Busting Mondays. And today's video, for the final myth, we are going to be seeing if whether or not that you can Pack-a-Punch the Brains Zombies Hands, or the default weapon in World at War Zombies, the cut secret weapons that we discovered in last week's episode. So that's going to be the myth that we test at the very end. If you guys end up enjoying today's video, please make sure you drop a like, and comment down below if you have a myth of your very own that you would like to have be featured in next week's episode. But with all that being said, guys, I hope you end up enjoying this week's episode of Myth-Busting Mondays. Myth. Is it possible on Verrückt that players can spawn in on either side of the spawn doors? Alrighty guys, so myth number 1 is submitted in by Toyo Melon 667. Now guys, this myth may sound pretty straightforward to anyone that has played Verrückt before, but if you have not, let me explain. In Verrückt, when you're playing on co-op, if you spawn in, you have a random 50-50 chance to spawn on a side with Juggernog or Quick Revive, and the other player vice versa. But here's the problem we were running into, is that when me and Dan were playing, for some odd reason, me and him were ending up in the same side of the spawn, meaning that we were not being separated like we initially thought we were supposed to be. And this was the case for multiple different times we reloaded the map, so we were like, okay, maybe this is a feature only in either the Black Ops 1 or the World at War version, so we went over to those. Alright, so now here's the Black Ops 1 version, and just like the Black Ops 3 version, me and Dan end up on the same side. And then finally, we tested World at War, the original birthplace of Verrückt. So if anything, this mechanic should be at least in this version. But just like Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 3, we're still in the same spawn room. And this happened again and again and again. We could not separate ourselves. I even went as far as to load up Verrückt on console and do this with split screen on both Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 3 to see if anything was different, and it still led to the same problem. I felt like I was experiencing the Mandela effect firsthand, because I remember this being a feature, and I felt like I was losing my mind. And then I decided to go to a little-known friend of mine called Google, and I finally figured out what was going on. Via looking at a Q&A section on the Plutonium website, I was able to find this right here. This is a player saying that the Verrückt split spawn feature only kicks in with a 3-player minimum, which is why Dan and I ended up being on the same spot, is because we did not meet that requirement. And since we unfortunately couldn't get a third member of the Myth-Busting team that owned Verrückt to play with us, I just had to borrow footage from online. So shoutouts to X1 Reaper 1X. Because without your footage, bro, I would have felt like I would have lost my mind. Wait a second, what did I just see? It's the ultimate version of Black Ninja 797! It's a canon event! So guys, not only because this is a canon event, but also because this took me way too long to explain unnecessarily, I'm going to label the myth at confirmed. Myth. Does having Electric Cherry make you immune to electric damage from the electrified door in Mob of the Dead? Alrighty guys, so myth number 2 is submitted in by Doug Tyler. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be heading to the Warden's office on Mob of the Dead and run to the electrified door where one of the plane parts is. Now obviously this is going to do damage to me and end up putting me in a downed state. But if I have Electric Cherry in my inventory, which gives me electricity powers, does this also make me immune to this electrified door? Alright, so I'm picking up Electric Cherry now, and let's head back to the Warden's office. So now trying to open the door with Electric Cherry, it looks like it doesn't matter. It still downs me just the same. So myth 2 is busted. Electric Cherry does not allow you to be able to open up the electrified door without turning off the power to it. Myth. Can the Pentagon Thief steal your weapon as you are drinking a perk? Alrighty guys, so myth number 3 is going to be submitted in by Lava. So me and Dan here are playing on 5 in Black Ops 1, and the Pentagon Thief is going to spawn in as soon as we switch the round. Now, Dan is going to be standing next to Mule Kick, and I'm going to be standing next to Juggernog, and whoever the Pentagon Thief attacks, that person is going to be drinking a perk in the middle of them spawning. So the Pentagon Thief is spawning in now, and you can probably put 2 and 2 together that since this is Dan's footage, it went after him. But yes, the Pentagon Thief is spawning in now, and it's going to attack Dan here shortly, so Dan's going to drink Mule Kick. And it looks like that the Pentagon Thief ends up stealing Dan's gun, because he originally had an MP5K, and now he's only got his ray gun. So myth 3 is busted because Lava wanted to know that if drinking a perk would stop you from losing your gun, and unfortunately it does not. Myth: can you upgrade a staff on Origins by entering the crazy place from the wrong colored portal? Alrighty guys, so myth number 4 submitted in by the BC3027. Now, BC, I know that you said here in your comment that you were having a little bit of a hard time wording your myth. So, based off of my interpretation of what I read from you, I am assuming you basically just want to know that if you can upgrade your staff on Origins by just going through the wrong colored portal. Like, for example, if you were trying to upgrade the Lightning Staff, which is the one that we chose for our video, and try to go through, like, let's say, the Wind Tunnel, which is the yellow one that is by Juggernog. If this is not what your intended myth was, by the way, you can also feel free to clarify in the comments, but this is what I'm going to assume you meant. So after going through the entire upgrade process for the Lightning Staff, and doing all 3 steps except for the very last one where we have to go back into the crazy place and fill the staff up with souls, we are now at the part of the myth where we need to be. So instead of taking this portal, the purple one under Gen 5 where Stamina Up is, we're going to move the Gramophone and go through the Wind Tunnel, which is going to be the yellow portal near Juggernog, like I said at the beginning of this myth. So the question is can Dan put his staff into the pedestal and charge it to fully upgrade it if he goes through a different colored portal other than the purple one? And what looks like that Dan heads up to the podium, the answer is yes, he can. He can indeed put the Lightning Staff in for the final step and complete the upgrade process, which means myth 4 is confirmed. If you take a different colored portal for the upgrade portion at least, it does not matter. I think it only matters if you take the correct color when you're trying to just create the staff in the first place, when you're getting that stone, but I think that's the only time that requires you to go through a specific color, but you can correct me if I'm wrong, chat. Alrighty guys, so now it's time for the final myth, and once again is going to be, can you upgrade or pack-a-punch the zombies' brains hands or the default weapon, which is the finger guns, in World at War, the cut weapons that we discovered in last week's episode. Can we get upgrade zombie hands or a finger gun 2.0? I don't know. Let's find out. Myth: can you pack-a-punch the cut brains or default weapon in World at War? Alrighty guys, so the final myth of the episode is submitted in by Ace of Spades. So Ace wants to know if you can pack-a-punch the brains or the default weapon in World at War Zombies. These are weapons we discovered in last week's episode, which for those of you guys that have not checked out that episode, you should check it out after this one because it was a really interesting myth. So let's try to pack-a-punch the brains hands first, and when we go up to the pack-a-punch machine, it unfortunately doesn't let us do it. There is a prompt for it, but it's just probably not in the game files. And switching over to the finger guns or the default gun, unfortunately it also does not work. It does not let you pack-a-punch it regardless of the prompt. So unfortunately, the final myth is busted. You can't upgrade the zombies' brain hands or the default hands or even the finger gun, whatever you want to call them, because they're just not in the game at all. They're just meant to be developer tools. But yeah, guys, that is going to be here once again for today's video, and I do truly hope you guys ended up enjoying it. If you did, please consider dropping a like, comment, subscribe, follow, and all that beautiful stuff. And if you guys have a myth of your very own that you would like to have be featured in next week's episode, please put them in the comment section down below. Or if you want to, you can also put them in my Discord server, which is going to be linked down below in this video's description. But with all that being said, guys, I truly hope you end up enjoying seeing another YouTube video from the most unique YouTubers you're ever going to see. Thank you for watching, guys, all of you, and peace out.
Hey, meme lords, Jesus here. And you better have enjoyed that video there by the Eternal God Daddy Ninja. You should probably subscribe too, or the mighty Moab will come for your balls. If you enjoyed the video, you might like it too. And give me the memes. Flash, bang, boom!